So I've been involved in student government for the last 4 years as a club executive and a member of various councils. I was a social science student councillor in second year, and I was a senator for FIMS and social science in third year, and I'm currently president of the largest faculty council on campus. I think all of that gives me a lot of good experience. On top of that, I've also been chair of long-term planning and budget for the USC for the last 2 years, so I have an unparalleled level of knowledge about the internal workings of the organization and the long-term visions for it as well.
I think what makes me qualified the most is that I'm a student and I have student concerns, and I don't think anything better can prepare you for this role. Speaking about my past experience with the USC, I think as orientation coordinator, not only did I represent people that I knew and people that had similar values as me, but I represented people all over campus with very diverse needs, and I think that that's really prepared me for this position. There are a few that I could choose from. I think the first thing that comes to mind is the Aspiria program for mental health improvements on campus. The difficulty in that program is that it's kind of adding another cook to the kitchen rather than just trying to improve our current services on campus. It's something that I think goes outside of what we're already trying to do with our own initiatives. I think a lot of issues also arise with the monetary resources that it will take up and increasing student fees. We talk about what students want, and I know that that's not a priority to keep increasing how much we're paying. It doesn't mean we need to sacrifice our own mental health. I think we just need other strategies that might do the same thing without bringing in a corporation to run our mental health services for us.
I think on the one hand, I mean, from an environmental perspective, that's great, but fiscally speaking, it's just not feasible at all. We did the math on it, and it would go up a minimum of 30 cents per item on the menu at the Spoke to cover that. On top of that, there currently isn't any space or infrastructure to do dishwashing in there, and putting in an industrial dishwasher would cost thousands of dollars. It's not just a one-time payment either. There's overhead and maintenance costs associated with that, and the Spoke is one of the only budget lines that is actually profitable in terms of the USC's operations, so I just do not agree with that whatsoever. Instead, we were looking at the idea of bringing in compostable, disposable cutlery and takeout boxes. The University of Guelph does that at their student pub, and I think that's a great initiative we could look into instead. So I would say how they reach out to students. And I think, you know, everybody always talks about how important feedback is, but I think that sitting up in your office on the 3rd floor and making students come climb the stairs to go talk to you doesn't make so much sense. So I'm committed to the idea of actually spending office hours going down into the atrium, going to other buildings, going to the affiliate campuses, playing funny games with students to get feedback in more interesting ways. We were joking around about doing like a Where's Waldo with the president, where I would, you know, wear something funny and go to different places on campus and hand out gift cards to people who find me, and in exchange hear some feedback from them. I think we just need to make the executive more accessible.
So this could be answered in two different ways, either based just on policy or on an initiative, but also just based on how they operate. And so I think I want to try and answer both. Sure. The first thing would be based on policy and initiatives, and I think a lot of what USC executives do is the mentality of, this didn't work in the past, it will never work again, we cannot try this again. So I think we saw, you know, a One Love rally that happened during the year 2 years ago that didn't go well, but I think instead of looking at the event and saying what could we have improved on, is this still valuable to students, and trying to do it again with improvements, the USC executive said, we don't want that black mark on our record, we're not going to pursue it. I don't know how many people showed up to the first Osheaga festival, but I'm sure it was less people than there are there now, and so that's kind of how we approach events and programs like that. Additionally, I think we need more cohesion. We need more similar priorities that all executives are working towards, not just 6 different people doing 6 different jobs. Engagement strategies, I know that there's a lot of more fun stuff or more important stuff on the platform, but engagement still needs to be talked about, and I think that 2 things that we put on our platform that haven't not necessarily gotten a lot of airtime yet are, one, the online constituent surveys. So right now, and I've spoken to a lot of students one-on-one about this, right now the USC either says USC counselors need to be doing a better job of reaching out, or the constituents need to be doing a better job of reaching out. And as students and as people that live very busy lives, I think that the USC can facilitate the service rather than just placing the blame on other parties. And so that's why we've kind of introduced the idea of having an online kind of like forum in which you can fill out surveys or opinion questions based on things that are going to council. So maybe this is what's on the floor this month, here's the agenda, what do you think? Would you like to let your counselor know? And that way the counselor can receive feedback directly from their constituents without having to go out and walk up to people at center spot and ask if they're in their faculty so that they can try and represent them better. And at the same time, I think a lot of students would feel like it's easier to just answer a quick email survey than try and reach out and have a coffee with someone. Additionally, I think something important is the International Students Collective that we speak about. Right now, we're focused on engagement in general, but specifically talking about groups on campus that right now maybe aren't represented in the USC as well as they should be. International students is one of those groups. We don't see a lot of international students holding positions in the USC council chambers, and that's a problem. And so this is kind of a mechanism to not only let those students connect with the USC, but get their feedback and hopefully foster a culture in which they feel like it's easier to go up to the USC and get involved.
Okay, so this is a great opportunity because during that Twitter conversation that you just mentioned, it was misconstrued that my team wanted to pay off newspapers to write good stories about students, and that's absolutely not what we're talking about there. I sat on the interview panels for the new AVP student experience, which actually just got announced today. Janet Luker will be joining the administration in that capacity, and we want to work with them to make sure that both campus and city media gets opportunities to write positive stories about students, but that doesn't mean paying them to do so. It just means making the connections and allowing that to happen. We don't think it's very good that right now anytime the city's writing about students, it's always in a disparaging light. That's something that we'd like to change. There's so many good things students are doing on campus and abroad in the community, and we want to make sure that they get the attention they deserve.
Dogs.
That's also a tough one. I grew up with cats, but that was because I grew up in the city and my parents didn't think it was ethical to have a dog if they didn't have room to run around and play all the time. I'm a huge animal lover in general. If I got a dog, it would have to be a German Shepherd or a Husky though.